Hi, friends. Coming to you from the Poetry Bookshelf, this is Strange Times Poetry Broadcast. This isn't a live episode today because A, I've been having so many problems with the Wi-Fi, so many problems, but also because it is Shabbat tonight and I wanted to have some tech-free time around 8 p.m., so I'm not going to be doing a live broadcast. But this video will be popping up on your feed at 8 p.m., so you can still enjoy your Strange Times poetry broadcast exactly when you expect it at 8 p.m. Um, so I'm going to be reading three poets tonight, three uplifting poems, one by Kazim Ali. Kazim is technically a friend, but he's also a famous poet, and I'm very excited to read his work. One poem by Sara Brickman, a good friend from the Lambda Poetry Workshop, and a poem by myself. Our theme tonight is rebuilding. Okay, so obviously we're not quite at rebuilding yet, but originally I was thinking that the theme tonight might be coping with trauma. And trauma, when I'm talking about trauma, I just mean a really intense emotional experience. Trauma can actually be really intense happiness too. It doesn't just have to be negative feelings or negative things. It's just the intensity. And I think rebuilding is kind of part of that. It's like what do you do with that intensity? How do you take those pieces and do something with them? Um, and I've sort of been thinking that's sort of something that I think about daily. Like what am I in each moment building or taking from this experience? This really intense emotion. How do I hold on to it? What do I make with it? Um, and so it's not exactly rebuilding, but it's more like what are the building blocks that I have that I'm getting right now? So maybe it's more like building than rebuilding. We may have jumped the gun on that one. Anyway, my first poem is from Kazim's Inquisition. This is from Wesleyan University Press, 2012. And this poem is called Screen Door. And it's short and beautiful. Screen door. Banging in the wind, impossible adornment. Sun strummed, I am played, and continue to explain to air my language of screen and oar, improvised over centuries, the kind of door I always wanted to be, closed but open. I kind of want to read that one more time. I just love it so much. Screen door. Banging in the wind, impossible adornment. Sun strummed, I am played and continue to explain to air my language of screen and oar, improvised over centuries, the kind of door I always wanted to be, closed but open. First of all, I just love how this poem takes something so ordinary like a screen door and turns it into like a mode for living. I love the kind of the balance of the vulnerability of the closed but open door, the screen door, and sort of the improvisation. Um, yeah, this poem talks about balancing, sort of has some balancing of vulnerability and boundaries and improvisation. And sort of the building blocks are they're the simple things, the screen door and the sort of inspiration that you can get from such a simple thing. All right. My next poem is one of my favorites by Sara Brickman, Talking Shit to Sadness. And I don't know if I can even do this justice, but I'm going to try. Talking Shit to Sadness by Sara Brickman. I'm so sad, antidepressants take me. I'm so sad I rode a pony at the fair and the pony got pony cancer. I'm so sad I wrote a book on sadness. It's called A Guide to Sadness. The first page is a picture of me. Every other page is a mirror, except the last page, which is just two otters crying. I'm so sad I tried yoga. I bought copper bracelets. They suck up bad chemicals and leave you new, but my new self only wanted to drink margaritas and cry. I waited for a train, and the train was made of air, but my lover was on it. My lover was also made of air. We made out, but I didn't feel anything. I made tea, but the tea was made of cigarettes. He said, just smile, but my smile turned him to dead puppies. She said, look on the bright side, so I locked her in a tanning bed. I prayed in every religion, every language, prayed in pantheons that don't exist anymore. I'm so sad, kale and seaweed. Cider vinegar 3 times a day. No friends. Too busy stacking pamphlets on anxiety. Conquering orgasms in a temple while getting more sleep. I cried it out. And what I cried out was a city block full of men's rights activists. I go for a walk to calm down, and terriers die at my feet. Mustard greens wilt in the garden. The Puget Sound fills with dead orcas. But hey, at least we're all calm now. I'm so sad a bird flew into me thinking I was a glass door. A mountain emptied for coal was suddenly full again, but a mining company bought it right away. I sit inside the mountain hammering at myself with a pickaxe to try to feel anything. The bird is crashing into my cliffs, keeps breaking her pretty neck on the granite inside my cave. I don't feel the reverberations, but I know she keeps flying, as though towards something living. Swing the axe, he raped me. Swing the axe, they never loved me. Swing the axe, always too much and never enough. I'm so sad I hammer to open a tunnel, though I'm not sure that I believe in the sky. And I swing, and I swing, and I swing. All right. So I think this poem, the way that it rebuilds, I mean, first of all, it's kind of like sad, but it's also hilarious. But the way that it rebuilds is through language, because it takes the trauma and the sadness and by just throwing it all together in such a ridiculous way, I'm so sad, kale and seaweed, it actually turns the sadness and the trauma into a type of strength, and it creates this poem, which is just a delight. So sometimes rebuilding is about, or the building blocks is just in the words themselves and how you tell the story and what you make of the story. This poem's a lot of fun, even though it's quite dark. All right, I hope you enjoyed that one. At least, if you're feeling sad, you can say, I'm so sad, antidepressants take me. It's a great line. One you don't forget. All right, and our last poem for today is In the Museum of Our Kitchen. So just a little history on this one. The Museum of Fine Arts Boston has a gigantic statue of Juno, which is one of the Greek gods, about 30 feet tall. And the way that they got it into the gallery was they had to open like a gigantic hole in the ceiling and swing it in with a crane. And so I sort of imagined what it would be like living with this gigantic almighty statue. And this poem is about adjusting to a new scenario, but maybe not one quite as traumatic as the new scenario that we're in. In the Museum of Our Kitchen. You're the 30-foot Juno, elbow deep in the dishes, hiking your robes, bellowing at me about tape. We're fighting over tape. Your white linen, the same you wore when I swung you through the skylight, a noseless, rain-worn wonder, is knotted closed. You've started wearing a fillet and moved into my bed full time. I make crudité. It's easy, I tell everyone. I can scramble you an egg in our new non-stick pan without burning it. Build columns and strain the beans, water spilling over. To complain would not be to give up, but to be made out of marble too, nude and lost, displayed in a quiet hall of gods and missing hands. Stack the dishes and begin again. Sometimes rebuilding adjusting to a new scenario or just building itself is to just keep existing. Just, stack those dishes and begin again. Every day is a new day. Keep breathing. We're here. You've got this. Stay safe, stay sane, and I'll see you live tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye.